Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. I have 3 cards out already. I actually had to re-record this because I've got the ladies in here and they're on some BS today. They are the cutest little psychos ever. I'll just say that. My cute little psychos. So channel members, you guys will have a message later tonight, so definitely check that out. And Magician's Tier, you guys will have a live with me at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. So if you're interested in the channel memberships, definitely check out the link in the description box below. So the first card that we have out is this Three of Pentacles. So it tells me that there is a highlight on some foundational material, the structures that have been built up over time. The way that this is going into for me is this Five of Pentacles. And so this is something that I almost feel this more like an energy of trying to root something out or trying to leave something behind, okay? Something that is part of this foundational structure. Now, for some of you, what this is bringing me into is this idea of partnership. And I don't mean between people, hear me out. I mean between aspects of ourselves. So when I'm seeing this, I'm seeing fruit from the tree. And whenever I get the image of the tree, it makes me think of the family, right? And the fruit is what sustains the next generation. So there's something here about core experiences, core beliefs, core identities that are formed because of our family environments, possibly our family's identity. Right, so the social class that our family belonged to, the popularity or lack thereof of our family in a particular community, or just the identity that our parents had for themselves and that their parents had for themselves. There's something here about this handing off energy. So it's like an inherited structure that someone is working with. And I do feel that for those of you who can kind of identify with that so far, there's something coming into play about partnership, and it's partnership with aspects of ourselves. So maybe, for example, if your family had a lot of fear-based thinking, right, you may have noticed that in yourself. And rather than beating up on yourself, you may be coming into a place where you're learning to partner with that in order to heal it, right? So I'm going to acknowledge that I feel afraid. I'm going to acknowledge that I feel these things. And I'm going to allow myself to distill what is actually intuition and what is maybe something that needs to be healed. This can apply to feelings of anger. This can apply to depression. So there's something here about the message is coming through for a person who's doing this kind of work, okay? So again, I feel that we're trying to root out this Five of Pentacles energy. Five of Pentacles for me isn't just about poverty. It's about being shunned. It's about being on the outside, on the fringes. Maybe you're somebody who you always felt like you didn't belong in your community. Maybe your family was like the black sheep family or the outcast family, or maybe you just moved around a lot. And so you have these ideas of displacement kind of inside the structure of your perception. Here with the Ten of Cups, what I'm seeing is that we're trying to root these things out in order to get to an ultimate happiness emotionally. Now, I'm being very drawn to this like rainbow that's in the background of these cups. And the rainbow is an interesting thing because it's kind of like the separation of various spectrums of light so that we can observe each one. And when you see a rainbow out in the sky, all the colors kind of like have that little thin band between the pure colors where they merge, right? It all kind of blends together. So someone here, this is speaking to me about the various aspects of self, right? And the different aspects and how we name them and how we identify them and our relationship to them. It's really weird that, and it's weird, but it's normal, that we as people, we tend to go through life and there's certain aspects of ourself that we're like, yeah, I love this part, so this is the part I'm going to operate out of or pretend is me all the time. Meanwhile, there's the other aspects that maybe we're not necessarily so proud of or that are uncomfortable that we don't tend to partner with. And what this reading is trying to tell somebody is that it's important to respect and observe and understand that all those aspects are part of you. By shunning one part of you, that's not going to be how you kind of learn self-love for yourself. To truly love yourself, you have to embrace all aspects of yourself. It doesn't mean that you're going to go out and exhibit all those things, but it means that you're going to be aware that that's part of you and you're going to honor it by figuring out how to use it in its most appropriate form, right? So rather than that aspect controlling you, it's you lovingly kind of being the adult over it. So there's something here about growing. And that's especially coming up because we have this nest where like these little chicks are growing into birds. And then we have these sunflowers that are growing. So there's a lot of growth and a lot of potential for growth that seems to be inside of someone's life right now. I'm very strongly feeling that something was kicked off around July of last year for many of you. Maybe towards the tail end of June, maybe the beginning of August, but something there around July was kicked off for many of you that really started this sort of process of growth. You may have come out of a period where it felt a little stagnant and it starts moving again. So right now there's this movement that's taking place within this process. Okay. Some of you, this process was kicked off by some fear, and especially fear or anxiety about something that was deeply emotional. We have this Ace of Cups and we have the Nine of Swords. Okay. Notice the moon that's in the background. So you may have noticed that there was a significant lunar event or moon phase that kind of kicked things off as well. And then we have the Queen of Cups. And I think this is interesting. Oh, Queen of Cups and then Nine of Cups on the bottom. So this is about your personal desires, your personal happiness, and wish fulfillment. It's interesting that the Queen of Cups is kind of the bottom of my triangle here. And because what's essentially manifesting is cultivating an attitude of true self-love, true self-care, right? The Queen of Cups, she very much cares about her emotions. I tend to read the Queen of Pentacles more so as the Queen of self-care. But for me, the Queen of Cups is the Queen of self-love. She really gets there into her emotional core, and she honors all of those emotions that are floating around in her cup. And she understands exactly which ones to bring forward at the appropriate time and which ones maybe she needs to work through, right? So this is really becoming emotionally aware of like the things that are taking place. Now, for some of you, as you're doing this process, you may be noticing that your psychic faculties are opening up a little bit. Some of you may be having more dream experiences because you're really being signified by this energy. This energy is really showing me who the person I'm reading for is. They're very much in this Queen of Cups energy, male or female, right? And this is really where I see people land when they're tending to old wounds. And that doesn't mean that someone is still hurt and distraught over things, but they're taking care of things that maybe had to have a bandage over them for a little while. And now they're letting like certain things vent and air out, and letting certain things process that maybe weren't able to process before. The sea is deep. The sea is deep. All right. Three cards. Oh, I love it. Okay. So we have the Devil is the first card that came out. And then we have the Magician. I think that with some of these things, it may have been very hard for a person to identify, right? I think that there may have been times inside of this collective's life where they gaslit themselves about things, and that may be why certain things were never able to process. So, for example, let's take the fear vibration and say that, like, for example, if you were someone that was always afraid of doing certain things, it may have been really hard to identify that that's what was going on, because maybe you thought you were being practical, right? And once you start to realize that, oh wow, no, this is actually a fearful way of thinking, it may have been really hard for you to say this is a fearful way of thinking as opposed to I'm being practical. And so you go back and forth between the two and kind of stress yourself out. That's what the Magician can sometimes do. The Magician really can get inside of his head sometimes. For me, the Magician card is kind of like the armchair magician, whereas when it graduates into the World card, it has that balance from both of those wands on either side. And so there may be something here about being up in your head too much. This is further clarified by a mental card, which is the Eight of Swords. This is where someone feels that they're trapped. You may have felt like you weren't able to move through this energy, and now what I'm seeing is that someone actually can. They're understanding that, hey, hold on, give me 5 minutes. They're understanding that rather than getting too caught up inside their mind and pressuring themselves, it's about honoring the feelings, right? The feelings tend to untangle once we honor them. So here with the Knight of Wands, this is the new beginning that someone is embarking on. This is a passionate new beginning. And this might not just be a new beginning in terms of this arena and this journey. It's almost being mirrored in the 3D somehow. So we're taking action in some way when the Knight of Wands shows up. The Knight of Wands is also fiery, right? So it's something that starts rapidly, starts quickly. So there may be some very fast movement that's taking place inside of someone's life right now. I'm going to keep this one rather short because that's kind of all that I'm feeling for this one. So if this resonates with you, please hit that like button. Feel free to leave me a comment, and until next time.